Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Okay, I'm so excited to talk to you guys tonight. I always love our end of the month sessions and just hoping people can see my screen. I'm going to assume that that is going okay. Yes, okay. Hey, everyone. Okay, so we're talking about creating a supplement line to complement GLP-1 medications tonight. We're going to be reviewing 5 formulas, and I'm saving the best for last, our top seller this year. So I want you guys to be in the know. And this is really just about helping your patients thrive while they're on their weight loss journey, but also, building up your practice, building up your brand, making sure you can grab the supplements that you want off the shelf. So I'll be presenting you with some examples tonight, but please keep in mind that with Vitamin Lab, you can make these your own products. And I'm so pumped for this because there's nothing I like more than when a practitioner or a clinic starts producing their own supplements. I just think it's such a level up. It's just such a way to build your brand. And it's just, I don't know, it's just cool. It's like a next level of your business. So yeah, so hey, I'm Dr. Lydia. I'm the naturopath here at Vitamin Lab. I take care of a lot of the accounts here along with my co-partner, Carolina Cook, fantastic account manager. So you'll be working with one of us if you've been with us for a little while now. So yeah, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I've been working for 14 years. I help a lot of our practitioners formulate. I've just seen a lot of supplements over my career. So I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. And I love it when we can make our own stuff and we're just not limited in any way. We can just put the ingredients that we want together. So we're going to talk about how to stand out as a GLP-1 provider. So it was very difficult for me to find data on how many prescriptions are actually being produced. And I do want to say that I keep the Q&A kind of open. So if people have questions or comments as I'm going, just fit in. And if I don't get to it at the beginning, we'll get to it at the end. So 9 million prescriptions were written in Q4, so that's September to December in 2022. That was the latest data I could find. And so we can only imagine now how many more prescriptions are in the market as it stands. And so we have compounding pharmacies making them. We have nurse practitioners and medical doctors and pharmacists and just a whole bunch of people are prescribing these. So this is really about how do you stand out in this marketplace? How do you make sure that you're offering something really unique to your patient base that just really says, you know what, I'm a premier provider. I really care about you. I want you to tolerate these medications as best as you can because they are a long-term strategy. They're not something that you go on for 6 weeks, you lose a couple pounds and you come off them. If people come off the medications, they do tend to regain most of the weight, minus about 5%. So we do need to have strategies that are managing side effects as they arise. And if they don't arise, fine, cool, that's great. But, we've all seen that, issues can come up. We're going forward. Okay. So this is sort of you'll have to forgive me because I use visuals and metaphors. So my metaphor for the GLP-1s is like you're having that like wonderful beach day, you're with your family, it's like cool waters, you have your little sparkling water, you have your snacks, like everything's just great on the beach. And you can see like clouds off in the distance. You're like there's like a storm, maybe a few like lightning bolts. And that's kind of how I feel about GLP-1s. Like there's such a miracle drug. People are able to lose weight in such fantastic ways. Like finally, so many of our patients are like, finally, I'm losing weight. But in the distance, I can see that they're, because these are long-term strategies, issues can arise over time. And I'll discuss why that might be. But I want us to kind of clear the clouds and just be aware that we don't want these storms brewing because, again, we have millions of people on these drugs. So it's not going to be like 4 people have side effects. These is like hundreds of thousands of people could potentially have these side effects. And I want us to be thinking ahead, anticipating what could be going on, just so that we can, again, just help our patients on their weight loss journeys. So what medications are we talking about? There's more than just these 3 main categories, but we're talking about the semaglutides, the liraglutides, and the tirzepatides. Tirzepatides being a little bit special because they're working with GLP and also GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, which helps with insulin secretion as you eat. So those medications, the Mounjaros and the Zepbounds, you actually get about 5% better weight loss after a year or so. So that's just interesting. I think those ones are really going to move to the forefront. But as it stands right now, about 80% of prescriptions are in that semaglutide range, Ozempic being for diabetes, a little bit lower dose, Wegovy being a little bit higher dose for weight loss, Ribelsis being an oral medication, a pill that you take every day. The liraglutides, those are daily injections as far as I understand them, so maybe not quite as popular. I think people would prefer to inject once per week versus once per day, but maybe they're more effective in certain cases as well. You guys can let me know. We're just doing a brief kind of overview here of how they work, mechanisms of action. So you're getting an incretin effect. So you're getting an increase in insulin secretion, which intuitively would be like, how is that good for weight loss? Like high insulinemia is not good for weight loss. But what you're actually seeing is a more effective secretion of insulin. So you have that bolus of food, you secrete insulin to manage the subsequent blood sugar, and then it drops off again. So you don't have patients with just kind of like steadily high insulin all darn day, which is really not great for your metabolism. They get an insulinemic effect and then it backs off again. We're seeing a suppression of glucagon. So that's the liver's secretion of glucose and gluconeogenesis in the liver. So we can make glucose two ways, either in our liver or we're consuming it orally, right? And we're eating. It slows gastric emptying, which leads to one of our major side effects. So people feel fuller longer. People consume less food. And there's hypothalamic reduction in appetite. That's kind of the most interesting piece of this to me. So I don't know about you guys, but I definitely had patients on these medications say that they used to be obsessed with food and now they really don't think about it all that much. They kind of forget to eat. And for people who really have, just a strong association to food, like some of our patients are just really tormented. They're thinking about food all day long. And it's nice for them to have this break. So there really is a psychological impact here, sort of a central nervous system impact, which I think is what makes these medications so effective and sort of fascinating in terms of their mechanism of action. So you're seeing an average about 15% body weight in about 68 weeks. So, and with the tirzepatide, that goes up to about 20%. And then there's a lot of subsequent positive effects of these medications. So this isn't just about weight loss. We can see reductions in major cardiovascular events. We're protecting the microvasculature, including kidneys and brain. And when it comes to different dementias, we know that those are related to just blood flow and that being appropriate. I'm sure we're going to see impacts on vision in the eyes as well as we continue to research these medications. But I love seeing anything that can prevent chronic kidney disease. Like, thank goodness. What a terrible, terrible condition for our patients that are struggling with that or needing dialysis in future. Like, that's just awful for them. And then again, it alleviates some of the mental stress as it relates to food. When you have a real food obsession and you're just trying to will yourself not to eat, will yourself to try to lose weight. Like, I just feel for those patients. It's just awful for them. So just really some really positive effects with these medications. So the elephant in the room, again, I love these sort of visuals. What are people not eating? Because we know that people are losing weight due to caloric restriction, whether it's they feel full or whether there's that central nervous system impact. Ooh, somebody has a comment here. I lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for a decade at perimenopause. Food noise was crazy and it's been amazing. See, look at that comment there. I don't know if everybody can see the comments, but somebody just said they lost 100 pounds and kept it off. But just getting rid of the food noise. I love that. The food noise. That's a great one. Thank you for sharing that comment, Shannon. Oh, it's Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Okay, so what are people not eating? Like, people, they're losing weight, they're eating less. We know this, but what are they eating or not eating? So I have a very good friend of mine, I'm very fortunate, who is a bariatric doctor, and he actually researched these medications published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Like, he's really at the forefront. We're in Canada, here in Canada, Dr. Sean Wharton. And so I texted him and I was like, Sean, like, how much less are people eating? Like, how are people losing this weight? And at first, there were some FDA guidelines, but he really said, you know what, we don't really know. Like, by and large, we just tell people to eat healthy, whatever that might mean to them, and feel happy that they're losing weight. And like, that's fantastic. And it's all well and good until like people are having side effects and we have to figure out, okay, where did things go sideways? So oftentimes I think, and this is another way we can really differentiate ourselves by asking these types of questions, because I'm assuming quite a few patients go in, they're weight, they get that seal of approval, they get validated, but nobody actually checks in and asks, what are you eating or not? So let's talk about side effects, because these are the major ones that have come up for us and just in the doctors that I talk to and work with, doctors and practitioners. So hair loss, which is stressful. Like, I can pretty much guarantee that if a woman comes in and she's losing her hair, she's going to cry in that appointment. It is very, very stressful. 10 out of 10 stressful. We're seeing nausea and diarrhea and just sort of upset tummies. That's a common side effect, particularly as people are adjusting. We can see changes in, I don't like this term, but I'm going to say it just because it's in there in the media, Ozempic face. It's nothing to do with Ozempic. It's not. It's just rapid weight loss. It can change the fat pads in your face. So people feel they get more pronounced nasolabial folds. They maybe have more wrinkles around the eyes. So it's really, that's just kind of a frustrating thing about weight loss. You can either like be a little bit more chubby and have like a more youthful face, or you can like lose a little bit of weight and sort of age at times, you know? So we're going to help our patients to not have to make that sort of decision, right? We loss in lean muscle mass, which is what we really don't want, because that's not great for metabolism. People can feel sort of weaker and just not as strong, because we all have big patients that carry extra weight, but they're darn strong. They're lifting in the gym. They have good stamina, all of that stuff, right? So we don't want to be destroying their lean muscle mass. And then side effects of just like not really eating, not getting the nutrients that they need. And, you know, so if you're a practitioner that's micronutrient testing, many of our practitioners are, these patients are prime candidates for micronutrient testing. Not the topic for tonight. We've talked about that before in the past, but yeah, if you're not running that, it's definitely a good idea in these patients because of this. So obesity, malnutrition are like this. Many of our patients who come to us who are carrying extra weight are actually nutrient deficient before they even start these medications. So whether it's they found deficiencies in vitamin A, B1, and folate, and vitamin D, and minerals like iron and calcium, so these people can already be nutritionally depleted before they started these medications. So thank goodness there's practitioners like us who are checking in and who are going to develop a little line of products. Doesn't have to be much, but you're just going to have your select products that you can do to fill in the gaps for these patients, or maybe your micronutrient testing as well. Okay, so what are people not eating? Oh, okay. So this is what I did, because I was like, nobody knows what these people are eating. Like, I can have my little appointments with my patients, but I wanted to know, what are people talking about? So I went to the final frontier. I went to Reddit and I read some threads as to what are people saying about their medications. What are they eating or not eating? And so people are saying things like this: I'm 40 years old, I'm 6'6", I'm at 1,300 calories. This person's doing heavy exercise at 1,100 calories. This person's eating 600-700 calories of basically pure protein. You know, who knows where their fiber source is coming from, if at all. My average calorie counter is at around 600 right now. I'm struggling to eat. They're trading one extreme for the other. This person's saying they have barf bags in their car and they have morning sickness candies. And this person's feeling like they're going to pass out when they stand up. And this person feels like they'd just be happy to throw up because they wouldn't feel sick anymore. And that's troubling. So in my opinion, taking too high doses and increasing them too quickly, many come to be and are not eating enough. Yes. And I suspect part of the trouble is for doctors and practitioners is that patients are reticent to tell us that they're having these problems because they really want to stay on the medications. They feel like they're losing the weight after all these stressful years of not having it come off. And so if they're not feeling well, they may not be forthcoming unless we're really asking these questions, which I know as functional medicine peeps, we tend to ask these questions, but just know that this is happening out there, right? People are keeping barf bags in their car, which is really not a good thing. And then beyond just the vitamins and minerals, you know, as functional medicine practitioners, we're thinking about trace minerals and prebiotics and our phytonutrients and our essential fatty acids that we need for our brain and our nervous system and our skin and all of that good stuff, our branched chain amino acids that we need to recover from a workout. So these are sort of just things that are circulating up in our brains. And on top of it all, food intake is really, really hard. If I asked you, what did you eat last Tuesday? Unless you're a highly regimented person, it's probably tricky for you to tell because people eat communally. You might be passing food around your table. People eat in the car. They don't remember that they stopped at Dunkin' Donuts and got something. People binge at times, right? They come home after a stressful day and eat a tub of ice cream and they don't really want to tell us that they've done that, right? Or moms, how many moms have we had that don't really sit down to a proper meal? They're picking up chicken nuggets and fries and little string beans that a 4-year-old didn't eat, right? So a lot of young moms are eating like that. Or people just graze. A lot of times on these medications, you can't really eat a full meal. So you're eating a few carrot sticks and hummus, but like how many carrot sticks did you have? Who knows, right? So food intake is hard. Our job is difficult unless you have people filling out a diet diary. And even then, who knows with amounts or honesty and all that stuff. And it's not that people really want to discuss. It's just, food, there's a lot of emotions attached to food. Okay, so how can we help? Let's talk about complementary formulas. This is going to be you just building out your little dispensary of products that you can offer. And I'm going to show you 5 formulas ending with our number 1 formula. And it's not that you have to do all of these, but you might find that some of these really resonate with you. I like to do things kind of case study wise, because that's just like kind of how my brain works. I kind of think about patients that have come through the door and what they say to me. So, and I know these are all going to resonate with you too. We've all seen these types of patients. So we have Belinda, 24. She grew up and said that her mom told her when she was growing up that if she wanted to be pretty, she couldn't eat bread. And I think we need to remember that a lot of our patients that are carrying extra weight have had horrible messages that they have internalized over the years. I treat a lot of people of color from Caribbean backgrounds and Southeast Asian backgrounds. And in those cultures, they will tell you that you're fat right to your face and that you shouldn't be eating that. There is a lot of toxic body positivity. That is not a word. Like my grandmother would not have known body positivity at all, right? So a lot of our patients are untangling these messages and trying to figure out what to eat. So on this medication, she feels like she can eat bread and lose weight. So she's eating like a little bit of toast with honey. She's having a sub sandwich. She's having a bowl of cereal or toast. So, and avocado is the only vegetable she likes. So this woman, this is not a nutrient-dense diet, shall we say? Exactly, right? So what do we need to have for her? We need to have a good multivitamin. And I am actually not really a fan of multivitamins. I don't use them all that much in my practice, except for, and that's just my personal thing. If you like them, that's great. But except for in cases like this, where we have somebody who's obviously not eating nutritiously, and she has a lot of food messages. So it's not that we're going to be able to snap our fingers and counsel her on a Mediterranean diet, and next day she's going to be eating bean salads and salmon. Like it's not going to happen, right? We have to meet our patients where they're at. So I think in this case, if we're doing a lot of the GLP-1s and we know people are just, they're figuring out, they're navigating their new diet, right? That takes time to figure out. There's nothing wrong with filling in the gaps with a good quality multivitamin. And what does a good quality multivitamin look like? Okay. For starters, active forms of vitamins. So you'll see we're doing riboflavin 5-phosphate, calcium D pantothenate, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. Phosphate, you can always, in nutritional science, phosphates are always ligands that attach into receptors to make things happen. So anytime you see a phosphate attached to a vitamin, you know that's an active form. It's ready to attach. Phosphate molecules are very polar. They're very negatively charged. So they attract easily to positively charged, like basically docking centers on receptors. So you're going to make things happen with active forms of vitamins. You want decent dosing. I don't see one capsule a day multivitamins necessarily having doses of vitamins and minerals to really move the needle for people. And it's just from formulating now for like however long I've been working for Vitamin Lab, as much as you'd like to have everything be 1 capsule per day, it's simply not possible if you want to have particularly minerals like calcium and magnesium. They're just voluminous. They're kind of fluffy molecules. So we're seeing this one at 2 capsules per day. Okay, fine. I like it when a multivitamin, you don't need to take additional vitamin D. So in this case, we have 2,000 IUs of vitamin D. You might dose higher, which is fine. And you can make your own multivitamin. So if you like a higher dose, you can make a higher dose one. But let's just say 2,000. It's a decent dose for most people, unless you're massively deficient. I like to see methyl factors. I like methylated folate. I like methylated B6. We do have practitioners who don't like the methylated. They think people over methylate, which is fine too. So, but that's just sort of my personal preference. And then I like to see glycinate chelate. So magnesium glycinate, iron as base glycinate. I like glycinate chelates because glycine is our smallest amino acid. So it just kind of slips through as it's being like, there's kind of like passive absorption in the lumen of the intestine. And as it's kind of slipping through, it will pull through the iron, pull through the magnesium. So you don't need to have like a real active transport. And it also ensures that the molecule doesn't dissociate too quickly in the gut, because that can cause the constipation and the diarrhea, whatever the case with iron, constipation with magnesium, diarrhea. So, or loose stools, maybe not diarrhea, but loose stools. So I like glycinated chelates overall when they're available. There's nothing wrong, like a little boron citrate at 3 milligrams, that's not a big deal. And citrates aren't bad forms by any means, but I like the glycinates. They're just easily digestible, easily absorbed. So, and we have our pricing here. So Vitamin Lab, we help you. Our niche is we help practitioners get started, because a lot of companies, if you don't want to buy 1,000 bottles of something, they're really not they're not answering your emails. Okay, you're not getting a call back. Okay, with Vitamin Lab, you can order 50 bottles of something, try it out, see how it works. You just want to think, can I sell this in 2 years? That's kind of the time frame. So if you can sell 50 bottles in 2 years, and you're ready to get started with this. Okay, so our next case study. Okay, we have Rob, age 55. He's really happy with his weight loss. He doesn't want to complain, but he feels like he looks older. And I specifically chose a man for this example because I feel like with men, they're not always going to be forthcoming with with things that they might consider, I don't know, they're just not always forthcoming with things. So you have to ask them, like, have you noticed any change in your looks? Have you noticed any change in your skin quality? Have you noticed any change in erectile function or sexual function, right? You have to like ask these questions, I find, and they will answer, but they may not come to you and say, you know what, I feel like I look older now. So in this case, he feels like he's got more wrinkles and he's wearing a beard because he's kind of self-conscious, and we can help him. So we have our GLP-1 Skin Restore. So this is a neat little combination. I'm always looking to make combinations that I haven't seen elsewhere. I really like it when we can work together and do that. So in this case, we have a creatine collagen hyaluronic acid combination. So hyaluronic acid, both topical. You can do it topical. You can refer him out to somebody, or maybe you do topical treatments. Great. But oral hyaluronic acid, it does improve skin moisture. It takes about 12 weeks, so it's not immediate. But that's fine. These people aren't going anywhere. They're on these medications for a while anyways. We have creatine as well, which improves muscle hydration. And like, we have muscles in our face, right? So if we're losing our fat pads, it's not so bad to have musculature, like our masseter muscles, etc., be a little bit like just plumped up, right? To kind of fill in the space. It helps with type 1 collagen, which is like bone and joint, but also skin. And creatine is very good for cognition and brain health as well, because the brain is so metabolically active that it actually uses quite a bit of creatine phosphate, so just as a side benefit. And we have collagen, which delays the aging process of the skin for at least 4 weeks, but maximum benefit is about 3 to 6 weeks. So yeah, this is a neat little combination. We can make that into a powder for our patients that are experiencing, just facial changes. Because again, it'll deter them from wanting to be on the medication if they just feel like they're rapidly aging. Like, nobody's signing up for that. Okay, let's talk about Radha. This is going to be our third formula, 3 of 5. So she has PCOS, and she says it's nice to lose weight, great to lose weight. She's finally getting her period on a regular basis, and she's going to try to get pregnant. I actually had a friend who didn't think she could get pregnant, who now is 41 years old. Her birthday, or coming up, she's going to be 41, and she just had a baby because she was on one of these medications and she started ovulating. Didn't think she could ever get pregnant. So that's a good thing to warn our patients about too, I think, because some people with PCOS, they just kind of gave up. They don't think it's going to happen for them. Well, it just might. And so she says she's brushing her hair and it's coming out in clumps every time, and it's just stressful for her. And we know our PCOS patients are prone to hair loss at the best of times, just because the elevated testosterone and DHT that can exist in that population. So we have a hair care product for them. Look at that. So this is a bunch of, we got our antioxidant vitamins stocked up. So that's promoting appropriate circulation and promoting proper follicle, just supporting the follicle itself so it's not damaged. We have stress management botanicals that we added in here. We have our holy basil and our ashwagandha. We have amino acids that offer the sulfur that you need to produce keratin. They also support hair follicle integrity. Lysine, for example, helps with iron delivery. You need lysine for appropriate iron delivery and oxygenation subsequently. And biotin. Okay, let's talk about biotin, because biotin's in like so many different hair products, and I feel like a lot of people aren't quite sure what biotin really does. So biotin is vitamin B7, is involved in fatty acid synthesis. And if you want to have lush, shiny, healthy hair, you need to have fatty acid, appropriate fatty acid deposition into the, well, as we know, the lipid bilayer on the outside of the cell, right? We need fatty acids for that purpose. And biotin is, is integral in that fatty acid synthesis. It basically acts as a carboxyl donor. It donates carbon atoms to create fatty acid chains. So that's why biotin helps with hair. Just throwing it out there. Zinc regulates DHT. We need it for DNA synthesis. So anytime we're making new cells, we need zinc. It's a cofactor in many, many enzymes, and it's important in amino acid translocation. So if we're trying to move around our cysteine and methionine, for example, we need zinc in order to do that. So we have a hair product. So people are losing their hair. We have a solution for them. We don't have to send them online or to Target or else to buy products. Okay, number 4, Marlon, 49. Okay, so even though he's overweight, he said he's always felt strong. And again, we have patients that are like this. They might have extra weight, but they're darn strong. He likes lifting weights and he likes playing soccer, but he says lately his stamina and his strength just feel off. And he actually hurt his back moving some furniture. And he just says, that's not like me. So that's a big red flag for me. When our patients are hurting themselves, such a disaster when somebody's like in a good groove with exercise and they're like used to being, and like sometimes we'll see it with women in their shoulders, and they just get an injury and it just throws a wrench in all their plans. That drives me crazy. So if anything we can do to prevent muscle and joint damage in this population and just make sure people are keeping their lean muscle mass up, yes, go Marlon. Okay, so we have our GLP-1 Muscle Restore. So this product is a combination of branched chain amino acids. Branched chain amino acids are important for 2 reasons. One, they help with fatigue as you're working out, because your body can actually, like if you get glucose depleted, your body can use them as an energy source, which isn't terrible actually, particularly if you're repleting your branched chain amino, your BCAAs, and they also help with repair afterwards. So people aren't as sore after working out. So people are just getting started with exercising too. And a lot of our overweight patients, they were a little self-conscious maybe to go to the gym or to take up pickleball or some sort of go to yoga class, but now they're losing weight. They feel a little better in their body. They want to take up exercise. Okay, let's support them so that they don't get injured and hurt, right? So we're doing that with this product. We have vitamin D as a potent anti-inflammatory in the muscles. Like one of the number 1 signs of vitamin D deficiency is muscle soreness. We have antioxidants, so I skipped over that, to protect against the inflammatory damage that happens every time we exercise. There's a little bit of inflammation that's created, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just stimulates these repair mechanisms. So we're helping with that. We have zinc, which is a coenzyme you need for all types of cellular repair. Zinc is just, it does a lot in the cytosol of the cell, just moving around different enzymes and making things happen. And we have hyaluronic acid and vitamin C for collagen production for joint health. So we're not just looking after the muscles, we're also looking after the joints, because there's no point of just having your muscles fine and your joints are all mashed up and hurting, right? So we could easily add some glucosamine or some chondroitin into this. It's, again, you can make what you like. Okay, so we're getting to our number 1. This was our top selling bulk product this entire year. And it kind of came out of nowhere. I just sort of formulated it. I didn't know what was, but yeah, people love this product. And again, you can make this your own. So we have Kathleen, and this is actually based, this is based on my friend. She lived through this. So she woke up every single night and vomited for weeks. She was just very sick, and maybe it was what Shannon was saying, with her dose was just too high, but she had diabetes as well, so she really needed to get her blood sugar under control. Kathleen tells you she went to a wedding last week. She ate a little bit more than normal, and she had to pull over at a gas station with diarrhea. And like when my patients tell me they have upset tummies, like I'll ask them, like, are you like altering your life around your bowel habits? Like, are you having to go to the bathroom at a gas station? Because nobody enjoys doing that, right? That's like a last ditch effort, right? So so Kathleen's telling you, listen, my stomach is upset. She feels like food's going right through her. And as much as she wants to lose weight, like she can't live like this. She doesn't want to wake up every night and vomit. So our number 1 formula this year is our GLP-1 Optimal Digest. And it contains, it's really not even a complicated formula, really. Like it's got pancreatin, which has your protease, lipase, amylase, protein, fats, carbohydrate digestion. You've got a probiotic blend. So keeping in mind, so our lactobacillus species, why they help with digestion is they produce lactic acid. And many of our minerals in particular are better absorbed in an acidic environment. So that's why they're important. And then secondary to that, we have our bifidose, our Saccharomyces, which is actually a yeast. and Bacillus coagulans, which is a spore-forming bacteria. So that one lives a long time and is pretty hardy. Like even as it goes through your stomach acid, it's got a good, it just sort of hangs around that one. But those three are very good at producing short-chain fatty acids. So what they do is they break down fibers into these little things that really feed your intestinal cells. They act as fuel for your intestinal cells. And we're also preventing dysbiosis. Because if people aren't eating very much, or they're not eating very well, or if you're not eating very much, you're not producing as much stomach acid. And that's really our first line of defense against dysbiosis, right? So as much as we can just colonize that with good things, I think, more power to we have our ginger there with the gingerols that help regulate gastric motility. We have glutamine to protect against intestinal hyperpermeability. So again, giving us food for our intestinal cells, just helping tighten up those junctions, absorbing big other proteins that just annoy our immune system. And then we have marshmallow root, which is one of my favorite digestive herbs. It's botanically called a demulcent. So a demulcent in botanical medicine is something that is mucilaginous, which creates kind of a mucin barrier. It coats and soothes the lining of the digestive tract. Marshmallow, slippery elm will also be in that category as well. And yeah, that's a favorite for me with people that have Crohn's and colitis and stuff like that. That herb works really well. So this is a good little formula. It's our #1 formula this year. So yeah, thanks for rocking with me during these so those are just some ideas. And again, you guys can make your own things. So, and you can take these formulas and tweak them to be you want to think is best. So yeah, and I always like learning from you guys. So when you guys come up with a new formula, I'm always like, ooh, what are they doing over there? So it's so cool. I love my vantage point in my job. So establishing your brand, it is important. So let's just kind of get into a little bit of like the biz talk of this, because as much as you are helping many people, as much as we can support your practice to just be really sustainable, you have a great income coming in, you just help more people, right? It's a win-win. And the state of the supplement market, like as a Canadian, when I come to the US and I go to one of your Targets or your Walgreens, I am shocked at the number of supplements that are on your darn shelves. How do people pick out a product? I truly do not know. And if people are on Amazon, well, good luck to them, because like the pricing all over the place. This one's $50 billion, it's $44. This one says women's on it. Well, I'm a woman, maybe I need this product. And this one's got glutamine in it. Maybe I need glutamine. Like, it's just confusing for people. So as much as we can just stock a few products that we know that we support and we can just hand it to them, is just much less likely that they end up standing in a Whole Foods with steam coming out of their ears trying to figure out what did Dr. Smith supposed to get again? Like, oh my goodness, it's too stressful. It helps you build trust with your patients, because you'll notice that all the products that we build are built to solve problems. I could present you with a case study or example, and that patient. I'm sure you've seen the patient I'm talking about. They're not foreign to you, and we have a product that solves a problem. I'm a big fan of that. Those sell very easily because you can talk about them and you can easily identify them. That's why I use the case studies, because you can easily make the connection. I know that's easy for everybody on this call. We're GMP NSF certified labs, so you don't have to worry about any regulatory, or all of our products are really top notch, and we get inspected all the time, and we have a wonderful lab team that's just very, very strong and science-based and has a really good background in this. We don't mess around. There's no additives or fillers, which is really great. We also have sensitive patients that just cannot tolerate that. We have third-party testing, so we're taking products off-site to be tested as well. And your bulk products are third-party tested. I really believe it builds an optimal patient experience when people don't have to stand again in the middle of Whole Foods and wonder what Dr. Smith said. And I think it just is a win-win, which is what I'm all about. You're winning, your patients are winning. We love that for you guys. It drives repeat business. So brand recognition is important. Every time they pick up the bottle, they're going to think of your clinic because it's going to be white labeled. It builds the lifetime value of your patient. So some of us are going to be running Facebook ads, or we may spend a little bit of money to acquire a patient. That's just running a business, even if it's flyers or you're doing talks or things like that. So if you're going to spend money, what you really want to do is maximize the lifetime value of that patient, if you can. And maybe that sounds sort of like, I don't know, like very businessy, but just the nuts and bolts of it. Like, we are running a business, and in order for us to help as many people as we possibly can, and it's expensive being a practitioner too. Think about all the conferences you go to and the continuing education, and you're paying for front desk staff, and you're paying your designer to do your logo and all this stuff. Like, it costs a lot of darn money to run a business. So anytime we can just bring in a good additional source of revenue, well, great for us. Like, more power. Why should we give that money away to Target? Please tell me. I don't have an answer for that. And you get a good return on your investment. When you purchase a product, you can mark it up a good degree and you can get returns. So again, as long as you can sell that product within 2 years, you're going to be fine. You need to have the patient base, but 2 years, keeping in mind that people will buy more than one product with you because they're going to like the product and they're going to like you. So the brand identity, again, it's building connection, differentiates yourself. I started this presentation saying there were 9 million GLP prescriptions in just Q4, September to December in 2022. That was the latest data. So we can only imagine how many prescriptions are flying around now. They're making it rain with these GLP-1 prescriptions. Okay, so this is a way for you to stand out. I think it does build your credibility. A lot of top clinics do have their own product line. It's just the facts of the matter, and it builds awareness because people see your packaging and they just sort of, they're like, yeah, this doctor has got my back. Okay, so how does it actually work with us? So 3 ways to formulate. You can do a pre-made formula. We have a library of formulas you're welcome to access. And even if you're using the library, you're still one of so few practitioners making this product. So even if somebody else in Wisconsin is selling this and you're in Florida, you don't mind that. Okay, if you like our products, just use them. Okay, you're still in your own lane. It's still with your own brand. You can design your own. You can go to Lydia or Carolina and just say, listen, I have my own ideas. Great, no problem. Or you can hire us to formulate. I have quite a bit of experience formulating. So if you want us to make something for you, we can do that too. And you can approve it, obviously. So you create your formula, you get a quote, you finalize. We have a QA check. So before we put anything into process, we always check through your formula, which includes checking for ingredients, yes, but also checking for regulatory compliance. For example, I learned if you put more than 99 milligrams of potassium in a product, you need to have a warning on the label. I didn't know that as a practitioner. I didn't know that. Our team knows that. Well, thank goodness that they know that, right? So we're here to help you with that sort of stuff that you're too busy to know all the rules and regulations. You don't have time for that. So Vitamin Lab has your back. We're here to help you with that. You get your invoice paid, and then it does take, please keep in mind, it takes 8 to 10 weeks for production, okay? We don't have things sitting around on the shelf. We make everything fresh to order. So if you are thinking you want to launch something for the new year, let's get the process happening, okay? When you get your own labels, so we'll work with your designer, and again, we will take care of the regulatory compliance. So you don't have to be thinking about your nutrition facts table and if it's up to FDA regulations. We will handle that, but we'll work with you on the label and the branding that you want to see. And other than that, thank you so much for coming to the presentation. You also get 5% off any bulk formula until the end of October. We're going to do. Okay, so for coming to the presentation, if you've been here and you've stuck with us the whole time, just please email your account manager, me or Carolina, and we're happy to give you 5% off your bulk formula. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, pop it in the chat. Happy to answer. Otherwise, yeah. Further to that, if anybody's still on the line, I do want to show you guys, we have a new refill function. This was like such a big deal for us, and I'm so thankful to the product team. So now if you have like refills in your order history tab, you'll see that your tracking links are there. If you want to reorder a product, you just click reorder and you can easily place that order. You can see who's on auto refill really easily. If you want to switch up a product, you can do copy and edit, and that will create a new copy. And you can start not really from scratch. You don't have to formulate from scratch, but if you want to add an ingredient or tweak it, you're able to do that. You can sort your refills. You can see the ones that are due in 14 days. So we've really up-leveled our order history tab. Probably the biggest one being the tracking link. If you're like, where's my order? It'll be there. Otherwise, thank you. If you want to make a change to a bulk formula, is it still 10 weeks? Yes. Essentially, yes. Every time we make a bulk formula, it's still 8 to 10 weeks. However, once we get in a groove with your account manager, we'll try to strategize so that it's not like you run out of product and then have to like start from scratch and wait for 10 weeks. Like it, so really it's just the first time you order, there is a bit of a waiting period, but you can work on your marketing like in the meantime and kind of get going, or you can start with personalized products using your formula as you get going. And then once your product is ready, we can time it so that you're not running out of product. We can kind of watch how your product is selling and work our way backwards. Any other questions, or are we good for tonight? It's always nice to talk to you guys. Always appreciative when you guys stick with me on these presentations. Yeah, so reach out to myself or Carolina. Thanks for sticking with us. And we're very happy to give you 5% off on any of these formulas. And if you want to set a time to meet with us, there's never any pressure. If you just want to talk to us about the formula and get more information, that's fine. We're not a hard sell type of situation here. We just want you to be successful and feel really excited about your products and building your brand and just really helping your patients tolerate their medications as best as possible. So thanks everybody so much for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful night.